Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're painting another Halloween scene. I'm going to paint a few black cats, some pumpkins, and maybe a few other things in the background, we'll see. But today we're working on a 12 by 16 canvas. It's been primed once with acrylic gesso, white, one coat. I let it dry. I'm ready to begin this painting now. And I want to just take it one step further to prep my canvas. So all I want to do is just take a large blending brush like this, get it a little bit wet, and I'm just going to paint or just add a quick little thin coat of water across the canvas. What this does is help prepare the canvas to take the paint a lot better. So it just makes it a lot easier to spread your paint around. And you'll find this one little tip will make all the difference in your painting. It'll really help you a lot, and it doesn't cost a thing. It just takes a couple of seconds beforehand. Okay, so to start this painting, we're going to work on the background, and I'm going to be using some turquoise. I've got bright aqua green, and because I'm covering a large area here, I'm just going to put it right onto the canvas like that. I'm going to use this same brush as well, and I'm just going to spread that all around. You can see how effortless it is because I've got that canvas a little bit wet first. Okay, the next color I'm going to take is a little bit of phthalo blue. I'm just going to do 3 little dabs like that, using the same brush. And I'm just going to brush that all across the top, making that a little bit darker. So blend it into the green a little bit. And then work my way down the canvas very lightly, not pushing hard. And I'm going to start to dry the painting off, this first layer of paint, and then we'll come in with our next step. Okay, so it's pretty dry now. The next color I'm going to be taking is my neon luminous yellow. I'll be using some black. I'm going to also be using some white. And what I want to do is just take another blending brush here. This one's a little bit smaller. It's a number 30. And I'm just going to take some of this yellow, a little bit of white. So make like a really light lemon meringue kind of a color. And I'm just going to go across the top like this. And then with a little bit of white, I'm going to twist around and make a moon. The excess white, which is hardly anything, I'll just add to the hillside here. Then I'm going to wash my brush out. I've got this small Filbert brush here that I'm going to use next just to create a little bit more around the moon. Get a little bit of water on there, get that yellow again, a little bit of white. I'm just going to go around. And just paint a little ring around the moon. And then come inside with some white. Now I'm using titanium white. I always use titanium white. It's the brightest, and it just makes some really nice bright highlights. Okay, I'll wash that out. Okay, and then I'm going to paint a little house here at the back. It's going to be a really fun little haunted house scene today. Kind of just going to make this up as I go along. I'm going to mix my neon yellow with my black to start. And because it's on a hill, I'm just going to add a little bit of a shadow on this side. I'll take a little bit of water. Just a little bit like that. And then we can start with our house. So I'm going to kind of make it have an interesting perspective here. So it comes a little bit narrow in here and kind of scoops out just a little bit slightly there on the side. I'm going to take some black and go right underneath the roof line. And then come right down here on that front wall of the house, and then the back side I'll join with the back line of the roof that's really skinny. We can only just see a very narrow part here, and then you can just add some little lines in there, but you don't even have to if you don't want to. This is far away. I'm just gonna leave a few little skinny rectangles here for a little door, and I'm gonna make the door slightly wider on the top and come down narrow or narrower on the bottom where the base is. I'm going to add some lines. Just for some logs or planks of wood siding just for the front of the house, right? We can have a little chimney. I'm gonna wash this brush out and then get that lemon meringue color back. Dab the inside of these little windows, maybe one there. Maybe we've got some yellowy smoke, greeny smoke coming out there. I'll add a little highlight. And I think it would be kind of fun to have maybe a little scarecrow somewhere up here too. Maybe we could just add him right here in the distance. So skinny line, have a little pumpkin head, and then arms. Maybe he's got a hat on. And then his little shirt kind of just blowing around. Extend those arms out a little bit. And we'll just have a little shadow down here. And I'm going to take some white for the inside of his face, and we'll have it white first, and then we'll be able to, once that dries, add some orange for the pumpkin, the color of the pumpkin. I'm just going to go back in here and add just a little bit more white. I'm going to take my liner brush. I've got a new purple that I picked up the other day at Michael's. I haven't tried this one before. It's called Prism Violet. So I'm just going to try adding, whoops, it's hard to get just a little bit out. I think purple and orange and green and yellow are all Halloween-ish colors, aren't they? So I'm going to take a little bit of white with that purple, and I'll add this to the trim around the door and maybe some shutters on this spooky little house. And I'm going to clean up the edges a little bit more here in the window of the door with black. I'll add a little cross for the grid on the window. I'm also adding some black right on the edging of the house and the roof line underneath, and as well over right here. Same with the chimney on one side and then down. And then right across the bottom here, a little bit more of a shadow. Okay, so for this part here, I think I'm going to take some of the purple as well as some of my phthalo blue, and I'm going to make this area a little bit darker in order for our pumpkins to really show up. We need a nice dark base down here. So let's just add that right there. And because I'm using, or I need to cover up a large area, I'm going to use a larger brush. So again, if you missed it, this is my number 30 and it's a Filbert brush. I just want to go right down to the bottom. And then it's going to go right underneath here. I'm going to set that off into the distance a little bit more and just add a little bit more shadow there. Okay, I'm going to start working on my first cat, and I'm going to use black with my little Filbert brush. So we're not going to see the body of the cat because we're going to have that big pumpkin. Same with this one over here. So we're just going to worry about mostly just the head. So we're going to start with doing just a little line like that. And it's going to go up just slightly. And then we're going to have couple of ears, pointy cat-like ears. Let's make this one a little pointier. And I'm just going to paint around the edges and leave the inside light because we're going to paint those sort of like a pinky color. Then we're going to come around and the side, little cheeks come out slightly wider than the ears. And I might have, I was just going to say, I'm just going to eyeball it as I'm literally leaving areas here for the eyes, or the eyeballs. Now I may have to adjust where those eyes are, but for now I'm just going to leave them like that. And then I'm just going to start going around. I'll leave a little area there for the kitty's nose. So from the cheek, pretty much straight down, just slightly rounded there, and then pretty much straight down, and then just out slightly, just slightly, right? So again, same thing on this side. And then we'll paint it all in. Then we're going to have that pumpkin. So let's say maybe the pumpkin's going to be a great big pumpkin right here. And just so that we can understand things a little bit better for placement wise, we'll outline our pumpkin. Which we would have to anyways. It's going to be dark. We need the dark around the edge. Have a little paw. Could have a little cat paw right here. Okay, and for now we'll leave it like that. And then we're gonna have our other big pumpkin, great big pumpkin here. And I like to do a little swirly little top to my pumpkins. Give it sort of a twisted look, you know? So pull and twist. So this pumpkin is front of that one, or is in front of that one. And just have some shadow down here. And then we've got another kitty just behind here, but we can just see the face. So we'll do the ears the same way. And it goes just off the canvas, so we can't even see all of it. And we'll go ahead and paint this in. Again, with the eyeballs, we're just adding them there for now. We may have to readjust that afterwards. And right away, I'm going to take a little bit just to add a bit of a shimmer and shine to the kitty's face and the fur. Just going to start on the edge like this, adding a little bit of gray, and it's still going to look like a black cat. It's just that we're going to be able to separate a little bit. So we've got the head from the body. We've got a little line here that I'm just going to tap in for the kitty's nose, and then little mouth area right there. Add a little bit of gray, light gray in here, and then a little bit of white. Okay, we'll add the eyes, make them nice and bright white first before we come in with the bright yellow and then a little bit of black after. And we'll go ahead and add that dark gray again over on paws here a little bit. And just on the outside bit of the fur. Make it look like it's kind of glowing a little bit from the moonlight. And if it doesn't show up enough, just use a little bit more of the white like I have been. Then you could add a few little whiskers in there. I'll come in with a fine liner brush after. Okay, so time for this face. A little bit of gray in here for a shimmer. So wherever I'm going to just add these highlights, I'm using this small Filbert brush and a little bit of gray. So adding a little bit more of the white at times, right? I'm going to take some white now. Start painting the eyes. A little shiny white for the nose. And then a little bit more. And I'm going to have to take a little bit of black and balance it out. So a little bit of black under the nose and then down here, like the shape of a triangle right here under the nose. And then curves off and over. So we have these separate areas here. And come in and carefully add a little bit more of the black on this side, on this cat I should say. Back to my gray. I could even make little whiskers by using the end of this brush. If you push and wiggle and flatten it, just going to tap in an extra highlight right here. A little bit more of the white. And then I'll show you those whiskers in just a second. We'll get to those. Push, wiggle. We might have to go over some of them again once we add our pumpkin color. Now I added a little bit of that too thick, so I'm just going to go balance it out with a little bit of black in here. A little bit of white. A little bit of black. Just for around the nose, and then a couple little nostrils like that. Add some more white. for the eyes. Okay, while the cat's faces are drying, actually I could do some whiskers on this one, and then when their eyes dry, we'll add the yellow, but I can come in and start painting the pumpkins while that's drying. So I'm going to take a liner brush here, water, and some white. Now if it turns a little bit gray, because we've got a bit of that gray in there, that's okay. So we want the whiskers to come down like this, and I'm going to use my finger here just to steady, and then just very lightly, barely touching, just a few little wisps. Try again over on this side. Maybe we can add a little bit more this time. There, that one's working out better now. Just a little bit of this white highlight in here. Just a little light gray ring under each eye. And then a little bit in the middle on the top of their heads. And I'm going to take my black and outline this area here. So I still have that light glow around there, right? And then I think I can actually start coming in with the eyes now, because I need this to be a lighter or a little bit of a darker color for some shadow. So I'm just applying a little bit of that gray. I'm not cutting the eyes in half, I'm just going over partially. Then we're going to take a little dab of white and do 1, 2 dabs like that, and then 1 dab on that side. Then black, and we're just going to do a little almond shape. 1 there, and 1 right about there. Now this one, I'm just gonna outline in black, and then I still have to wait for that layer of gray to dry before I can go over with my nice bright white. There's not much of a shadow on this one, but we can just add like a tiny bit right here. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit there for a little bit, and we'll start working on our pumpkins. So I'm gonna be using some neon orange, neon yellow, and some, well, two neon yellows, one cool and one warm, and neon orange. I'll be adding some accents and little bits of cool shadows with some blue violet. What I want to do is paint the faces first, and I'm going to take some white for that because I want them to be really bright. And I'm just going to do some little triangles that kind of curve a little bit inwards like this. Paint these nice and bright white. That way we can make them look like they're glowing later on. Little nose, just simple little triangles. And this one's kind of covered up. From that kitty's paw. And then the mouth. So what I like to do is come in like that, then go down, up, down, make kind of crooked looking teeth like this. And then I'll just have maybe one tooth on the bottom. And we'll paint it in white as well. And we'll start on the other side. This is where you can get creative, right? You can paint your pumpkin faces however you would carve them. take a little bit more white and go over this moon. A little bit of that yellow in there. Give it a little bit more of a glow. And then I'm going to come in here and add more of a glowing highlight as well. A little bit of water this time. Just going to use a little bit of a bigger brush here. And just blend this out. Now I can come inside of these pumpkins. And I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow in here. I'm not completely covering all of the white because we're going to add a little bit of depth and shadow. Okay, so the next color I want to use is a little bit of my orange, my neon orange, and a little bit of that blue. So what we're going to do is make sort of a brown color here. This is going to be for our shadows inside the pumpkin eyes. So we're going to cut in here. Like that. Add a little bit of this luminous yellow. A bit more of that brown. Okay, we'll do the same thing. And then really outline this. Same thing on the nose. A little bit of luminous yellow. Get more of that brown color that we made. This is going to really give us that glowing effect. One step at a time. And let's make a little bit more of that color. Pick up a little bit more of the orange this time. Yellow. And we'll pull in like that. I'm going to wipe the excess off on my towel here. Push into the dark again, blue and orange. Okay, we'll go over to the next pumpkin. The same thing. A bit more orange, push, pull, and come around. Get this side done. Pull and come around. Let's add a little bit of the lighter yellow. Just right in there. And around the nose. And follow down below, finally on the mouth. So it's okay, sometimes you pick up a little bit more of the orange. I'll just be even better. Now right in this area, right in here, we're gonna see the inside part. And it's gonna be a little bit light. This is like a really light pumpkin color, isn't it? There we go. And then back to the orange and that blue for that nice dark color. We'll just outline the inside of that. Outline, outline. There, they really look like they're glowing, don't they? We're going to switch over to a little bit of a larger Filbert brush this time. And I'm going to take my orange. It's got a little bit of that blue in it. I'll take even a little bit of white this time. And I'm just going to start pushing, pulling, swooping down. A little bit of white, a little bit of that other pumpkin-y yellow color. You can add a few highlights here. I just want to get the color in here for now and then come in after with a liner brush and add where the other lines are, like the pattern on the pumpkin. Okay, so there's one. And like I said, we'll let that just kind of set there. And then the part of the blue is going to bleed through, and that's great because we want that for some shadows. Now we'll go over to this side, and I'm just going to use a smaller brush because I found that a little bit challenging just to get in and around the eyes. So I'm going to use a narrower Filbert, a smaller one. This one's a number 4. Gonna need a little bit more paint. So white, tiny bit of blue in there. So I'm going to add a little bit of this weird kind of dull color first. Go up and over. Yeah, this is a lot easier to get in between here. It's a little bit more in shadow down here. So that's why it was important to have that blue underneath. So I'm going to apply this really lightly so that I can purposely see that blue. I'm going to take some of my yellows, both of them here, and I'm going to add them to the stem. And I know that it's going to dry a little bit darker, so I'm not too worried about it looking too light. I know it'll dry the right color. And I'm going to take a little bit of white, a little bit of that, both my yellows, a bit more there. And we'll start to make these eyes glow just a little bit brighter. I'm going to try that again with just a little bit of a little bit more of the neon yellow this time. Okay, with a little bit more of that pumpkin-y color. the light yellow more. I'll take the orange and the blue again. A little bit more blue this time. Re-outline. A little bit more generous. My orange now. I'll take a little bit of white here. And I'm going to make sort of bluish gray color here. Scoop up my orange, a little bit of white and yellow. So neon orange, yellow, white. I'm going to just intensify the orange over top of the blue so it dries darker here. And I need to add an outline and a shadow right back over there. I'm going to add a few lines on the pumpkins, but I want to color the inside of the cat's eye. A little bit bright yellow to make it look like it's glowing. And I'll take a little bit of white a little bit of white along with the yellow here. And then a little bit of black. Just a few little skinny lines like that. A little bit of white. You still have to paint inside the ears a little bit. And I'm just going to do a soft peachy color here. I'm sort of dry brushing. I'm just adding a very little amount like that. We'll come back in with just a little bit more black on this side. Just darken up the ears a little bit. And then a little bit of blue, a little bit of black. You could do or use a liner brush if you want for this, but I want to use this to shadow a little bit as well. So we'll just add some lines. With a little bit of water, black and blue. And the same thing on this side. And it's going to be darker right here around the mouth where we outlined, so I'm just going to add a little bit extra right there. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of my blue violet, this one right here, and we'll add a little bit of this. For some shadows. I'm going to add it around the cat as well. So a little bit of a glowingness to it. And right in here, you can just line your brush up right on this side, pull and sweep. You get a really nice glow. Just take a little bit of white and bring that up another shade. We have to paint our pumpkin scarecrow back there. I almost forgot. Let's just take our yellow and orange. And we could add a little face on pumpkin back there with a liner brush. Not really gonna see too much. And I think we need to re-highlight our windows. Make those stand out just a little bit more. Maybe there's a little bit of light cascading down here. Now let's see if we can add a few more whiskers. So some white and some water, see how runny it is? I'll just take a little bit of blue. With my white and just a tiny bit of that yellow, and add that to a bit of the shadow over the eyes. I'm gonna add a little bit more of the yellow now, the cool, and enhance color in here. And not all over. Notice I'm just adding it in some areas. I've got a little bit of orange in there. I am going to use that. I think that'll add a little bit of a nice glow inside the pumpkins here. And outline these kitties a little bit, give them a little bit of a glow. Just with my liner brush, and then just kind of wiggling out with my finger just to soften. So I'm just going to add a fence here to finish this painting off. And I'll paint it in blue and black, silhouette. We'll have it on a slant. So see how they're following with that hillside and then just getting smaller and smaller. Let's use the last little bit of black with a touch of that blue in there. And then I'll add the finishing touches. I'll add a little highlight, that sort of moonlight turquoisey color. And we've got our shadow on this side, so the highlight would be on this side. Okay guys, so as I finish adding the last bit of details here, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. This was a fun one to paint. It's got a lot of character to it. Yeah, it was really enjoyable. Hope you guys want to paint along. I can't wait to see your versions. So happy Halloween, and I'll see you all very soon in another video. Please subscribe to my channel for more. Bye everybody.